Hello and welcome to Geeks Assembled Movie Night. Yes, it's movie night and this is the first ever edition of the Geeks Assembled. And today we're doing a Carry On film, yes, and it's Carry On Screaming. So let's go over to Dan. Yes, our very own Lee. Go ahead, Lee. Are you a gardener, Lee?
No, I hate gardening and I hate decorating, so I don't know why you asked that question, but I'll skip over that. Carry On Screaming. This film and Carry On Up the Khyber always comes at top of the Carry On fans polls. It's their favourites, those two. And you can see why this one is, I would say, my favourite Carry On film, Carry On Scream. It's got elements of the Hammer horror. It's got you've got the comedy, you've got the innuendos, you've got what we call in this country seaside, postcard humour from seaside. And what gets is the actors to get a good laugh. It's all played straight. The character just play it straight, and the laughs are just there. And it is quite, for the time of being a comedy film, it is quite eerie as well. It's a take on the House of Wax film, the Vincent Price film back in the 40s, 50s or something. It was like that. But yeah, I enjoyed this film, and it's got a lot of good actors in this. I mean, you've got Harry H. Corbett, this was his one and only Carry On film. But he's more known for A Steptoe Son. He's absolutely awesome in this as Detective Bung. What a name, Detective Bung, and his partner Slowbottom, Peter Butterworth. Brilliant pairing. And then when they get together with Jim Dale as well, those three, it's like the Three Stooges. It's just brilliant. And this film also has got a lot of Doctor Who connections in this. I mean, you've got Bernard Bresslaw, who plays Socket the butler, the original Ice Warrior. Peter Butterworth, the Time Meddler. John Pertwee as Dr. Fettle, who we all know as the Third Doctor. And John Sims, who played Katrika in The Mysterious Planet, which was part of the Trial of the Time Lord story. But it's a lot of connections there. And also you've got the Ron Grainer connection, because they did a little tribute in this to Steptoe and Son with the theme music. Ron Grainer also did the Doctor Who theme. I'm full of all these little throwaway interests, but to me, it is a brilliant film. I love this one. There's a lot more out there. I mean, this series ran from 1958. The original series ran from 1958 to 1978 with Carry On and Manuel. And then we had a sort of a cock-up in the mid-90s with Carry On Columbus, but we'll skip over that one. But for me, yeah, this is one of the best. Love it. And I'm going to give this a 10.
A 10. There we are. We start off with a 10. Now let's scream on over to Kevin. Go ahead, Kevin. Caught you off guard then. You were drinking.
I like this movie, the comedy, and the lady of Mr. Who was it? The detective one, Sweeney, Sweeney, probably. Was really irritating, but she was really funny. But I like the guy that got revived again and then dead and then revived by his by her wife, and then later on in the movie the wife is with the detective because there were her own wife got froze for and I like the hairy man of the movie, the monster you can pretty call it, So yeah, I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10. Good movie for 60s.
A 9 from Kevin. Thank you, Kevin. Now let's go on over to Susan. Susan, what do you have to say about this? Carry on screaming.
Well, I personally love the couple who were doing the experiments. It was definitely Vampirella and her effete and effeminate brother, who was another vampire, you know, and they were creating Frankenstein monsters by using Jekyll and Hyde, and they all did the referencing of Jekyll and Hyde and Frankenstein, and the doctor was friends with Dr. Jekyll and Dr. Frankenstein, and so that was fun. And it was also really amazing that they had connections. All the Doctor Who connections were really fun to try and pick out. The woman who disappeared was turned into a waxwork, which was often it was often amusing watching them try to determine what she was made out of. I mean, they were all like feeling her up and stuff. It was hilarious. And then I mean, it was a giggle. Like there was the young couple and all the disappearing women, and I thought that the detective and his wife were so hilarious. I mean, you know, you don't want to live with someone who's going to argue like that or yell at you like that all the time, but I thought that was really hilariously cute and definitely part of the genre, really. And so that was fun. And I don't really know, there weren't really character arcs at all. Nobody really got a whole lot of growth or change in it. But it was like delightful and hilarious, and all the good sort of fun Hammer horror versus versus carry on everything else. It was terrific, and so I'll give it a 9. That was really fun to watch. Thanks.
Thank you, Susan. Another 9. So we've had a 10 and 2 9s. Let's see what Beef Dad has to say about this one. Go ahead, Dr. Watt.
You've missed a couple, Lee. Gerald Thomas, who directed it, was also in Doctor Who. He was an actor. He was also the voice of Oddjob Jr., although uncredited. And of course, Angela Douglas. And Angela Douglas played the Brigadier's wife in Battlefield. And she was excellent. Fenella Fielding, playing the brother of Kenneth Williams, who played Dr. Watt, was absolutely superb. The woman was absolutely magnificent. Yes, the "do you mind if I smoke?" and then she's surrounded by billows of smoke was perfect. And it was typical of Fenella Fielding and her sense of humour. Joni Sims as Emily Bung, brilliant. But with Joni Sims, you always get a brilliant performance. She never lets you down, same as Charles Hawtrey, who sadly was only in it very briefly before he got killed. And he got his famous line, which is, "Oh, hello." And that's every Carry On film. That's his opening line, is, "Oh, hello." Jim Dale brilliant addition to the Carry On cast. Oddly enough, this was done, I think, just after I met him. He did Scapino at the Young Vic, and then later on transferred it to Broadway. But I was helping front of house at the time at the Young Vic, so I had several drinks with him in the bar after performances. A really nice guy, and really as crazy as he appeared, but a family man. Loved his kids, absolutely loved his kids. Really, really was a sweet guy. Harry H. Corbett playing Detective Sergeant Sidney Bung. As Lee said, it was his only Carry On appearance. But the magical moment for me was nobody could ever get so much sex into a sentence as Fenella Fielding when she said, "Oh, Bung. What a lovely name, Bung." She was just extraordinary. Peter Butterworth as Slowbottom, brilliant piece of drag, to be perfectly honest, when they were going into the forest and he was the bait. He was the bait for Oddbod, the creature. But nobody's really mentioned John Pertwee's performance, which was very brief. It was very brief, but it was an absolute piece of John Pertwee magic. It was one of his mad Scottish characters. He does a mad Scottish professor with a finger, which he then regenerates. And it's extraordinary how the regeneration came up in that. And that was in itself a little piece of magic. And he regenerates a whole new version of Oddbod with Oddbod Jr. And it was just magic. It was really magic. This is probably, out of all of them, and I've seen them all, I saw them all in the cinemas as they came out, and this was 1966, which was the last time England won the World Cup. And I remember sitting in the cinema watching this and being amongst hundreds of people who were all laughing. And that is a wonderful place and a wonderful feeling. A real piece of magic. This thing gets an absolute solid gold-plated 10 out of 10 from me.
A gold-plated 10 out of 10. Thank you, Beef Dad. Wow. So we've had 2 10s, 2 9s. Let's see what Connor has to say. Go ahead, Connor.
This is my first experience with Carry On films. I knew what they were beforehand, but this is the first time watching it, and I've got to say this is a pretty good first impression. It was funny. It was quite eerie in places, I would say, for a comedy film. And I sort of got the spoof with the Hammer horror sort of elements to it. But yeah, such a solid cast. My absolute favourite performance was, non-surprisingly, John Pertwee as the mad professor. Just absolutely superb performance. He looked a lot like Karl Marx to me, I thought. And I think when he eventually sort of died, I would say, when the monster attacked him, just seeing his legs sort of up on the table, and his face off camera was just absolutely hilarious. I love that scene. Another great scene I thought was the business is looking up gag. That is so keying in with my sense of humor anyway, that I just absolutely adored that scene so much. Overall, the other cast, Harry H. Corbett as the detective, brilliant casting, brilliant character. Peter Butterworth, who played the meddling monk in Doctor Who, again, brilliant character, brilliant casting. Just, I love the amount of Doctor Who sort of tie-ins that were here, and the regeneration sort of mentioned as well was a bit of foreshadowing with the when John Pertwee was going to be the Doctor. Yeah, overall, I thought it was a great film and a great introduction for me into the Carry On world. Yeah, great film. I'll give it an 8 out of 10.
An 8 out of 10. Thank you, Connor. Well, now to me. Well, I've seen Carry On before, and I saw that face, Beef Dad. I've seen Carry On before, and I quite like the Carry On films. You know, they're good fun, and this one's good fun. It's good humour, you know, and this Carry On Screaming, it's got a great cast. There's people I recognise from other programs like Step 2 and Son. You've got the guy from Step 2 and Son. You've also got Captain Peacock from Are You Being Served, which no one's mentioned, I don't think. He's in it. Obviously, you've got John Pertwee. And John Pertwee was great in this. The expressions he had on his face. And when he was looking through that book and he got the wrong homo, you know. So I just, yeah, it's good humour. There's some really funny scenes. There really is. Like Connor mentioned, the one with the toilet attendant, and he looks up and there's people walking above, you know, because of there's a window above him, and he can see up people's skirts and things like that. And you know, he said that a Scottish man went over. You know, I like it. I think the sets actually stand up. I didn't know what I expected from the sets, but it looks, you know, it still looks pretty good watching it. Do you know what I mean? It still looks pretty good. I thought, well, because I'm a Doctor Who fan, I'm used to 1966 being in black and white. So, and this is in colour. So, yeah, I think I would give it... Oh, I have to say, though, first off, that before I finish it, that Doctor Who did get a mention because he said Dr. What, and then they said Doctor Who. Do you remember when they asked the doctors, they asked his name, and he said he was Dr. What, and then they said Doctor Who, you know. So there we are.
And he said it's his cousin. Doctor Who's his cousin.
Oh yeah, he did. Yeah, Doctor Who's his cousin. Yeah. So I'm going to give it a 9. Yeah, I'll give it a 9. It's a good watch. It's fun. It's funny, and I also like the woman in the bed who spends like 90% of it in bed, you know, just moaning and whinging. And when her husband comes back as the monster, she doesn't even recognise he's the monster, you know.
I like her too. I think that couple was too cool.
And he used her as a trouser press. Yeah, when she sleeps, because she sleeps. And he used her as a trouser press. It was very funny. And you've got slow bottom, as people have said. Yeah, it's good. I'll give it a 9. And I'm going to open the floor to whoever wants to speak.
Yeah, well, the guy who played Robert T.T., the mummy.
Robert T.T., yeah.
Robert T.T. Dennis Blake. That was really the only thing that he ever did. I suppose. How do you follow that? But yeah, absolutely brilliant. Yeah, nobody's mentioned Mr. Vivian, played by Michael Wald, who drags up Sergeant Detective Constable Slowbottom, and he says, "Well, I've done the best with what I can, you know, with what I've got to work with." Hysterical, absolutely hysterical. Bernard Bresslaw playing Socket is obviously a shout out to Lurch in the Addams Family. He was absolutely bang on. He didn't overdo it. It was just there. He was there. And it worked brilliantly. And yet, well, Joni is Emily Bone. Well, yes. Yeah, she is one of the absolute mainstays of all Carry-On films right from the very beginning.
I always feel sorry for Joan Sims because in her younger days she was a very good-looking lady.
Yeah.
And as the Carry-On films went, they always used to cast her as the frumpy, angry wife.
She was the old bag.
The old bag, yeah. But in the early Carry-On, she was very good-looking and...
Oh,
I
yeah,
thought
she
it
was
was
the one
funny.
that all the boys were after. Yeah.
I thought it was funny that he kept her as the doll, as he kept her as the mannequin. You know?
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
he only had gas.
Yeah,
Didn't have
imagine
electric.
the bit where that's Emily, and he hit her with a bit of pipe and said, "Well, no, Emily doesn't sound like that."
I've never written with a pipe before. But they also, I mean, some of the young guys in this cast mostly won't know what I'm on about now, but there was their own sort of tribute to the Abbott and Costello who's on first.
Yes.
With what's his name? That was going around for a bit in the film. And I thought that was quite funny, and there was like a little tribute as well to Laurel and Hardy, where the Bung and Jim Dale's character was sharing a bed in the mansion.
Oh yeah.
And that was thinking about Laurel and Hardy. It's just these things thrown in together, and it worked. I mean, also John Petrie only did 3. I think it was 3 Carry-On films. But he has gone down as saying he was only invited to do these to keep Kenneth Williams in check.
Yeah.
Because Kenneth Williams was getting rather unruly and dropping his trousers to everybody.
Uh-huh.
But he wouldn't do it. He wouldn't do it. John Petrie was the only person who I think he could start. John Petrie would stand up to him.
Dropping his trousers.
Oh, he did. He was. Should we say a little on the disturbed side? This is the problem with any comic genius, and the man was a comic genius. There was absolutely no doubt about it. And the whole problem with him was he was attention seeking all the time, and if attention seeking meant dropping his trousers, he would do it.
Well, we don't encourage it on this cast. We don't encourage it on with our.
Oh, don't we?
Yeah, we don't encourage it.
Right?
Oh dear!
Got any?
Nearly took my eye out then. Oh hell!
And he's and Beef Dad's in Germany.
Huh?
Sorry?
And Beef Dad's in Germany.
Yes. Yeah, that takes a bit of doing.
Oh no, stop messing about.
Let's move on. Anybody else have anything to say about Carry On Screaming?
Yeah.
Love John Pertwee. Sorry. Go on, Connor.
Yeah, I was going to say, watching this film, seeing Bernard Bressor's Socket, I was always thinking, had they remade this, I would have loved to have seen Alan Rickman do that. I think he would have been perfect for it. Just with the voice and sort of the posture and the serious sort of face, it would have been a perfect role had they ever remade it, which they didn't need to because it was perfect, I thought. I don't think they would have ever needed to have remade it, but if they did, I think Alan Rickman would have been perfect as Socket.
Thank God they haven't really remade any of them.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah,
You don't touch stuff like this. You just leave it be.
yeah. But yeah, I thought Valeria sort of reminded me a bit of Cher. It was very weird. It was like watching Cher in a film. It was. She sort of had that sort of look about her.
I thought it was funny when she said, "Can I look at your whistle?" Can I?
Yeah. Well, and then can I blow it? I think she said as well.
Yeah, something like that.
With the dirty mind I have, I interpreted that
Yeah, I can
Trouble is,
imagine,
you
Connor.
might not
You don't need to
remember
tell
it,
us. You don't need to
That was the
explain. Don't
intention
go
on
into
the-
detail, please.
That's how it's supposed to be. It was intended for that, for you to think that, and that's
Yeah.
No,
that's good comedy.
never really. Oh, I would never.
No.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
One of the best lines is right at the end. It's frying tonight. I love that.
Yeah. Just before he dies, in the.
No, he's already dead.
But the thing is, earlier on, his sister says to him, "Don't say it. Please don't say it.
Yeah.
You say it every time, and it's not funny anymore." But when he finally says it, when he's basically in the fryer with Robert Titi, I mean, the fact that his last words are "frying tonight," and then he disappears down. It's just absolutely brilliant.
Classic.
The magic moment of the cinema.
Anybody else have anything to add?
Nah.
No? Well, that's it. I'd like to thank everybody here for joining me. I'd like to thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Do subscribe. And have you seen Carry On Screaming? Tell us below. Tell us what you think. Tell us what you want us to review next, what you want us to discuss, because we do anything geeky, sci-fi, whatever, horror, whatever. So make sure you comment below and take care, have fun, look after yourself, and we'll see you next time.